Hello, my friends. Let's jump straight into a summary of the past week. Over the course of 7 days, from September 16 to December 22, the Russians captured an additional 102 square kilometers. That's approximately 15 square kilometers per day, a significant and troubling loss. Taras Chmut, the head of the Come Back Alive Foundation, stated that Ukraine is not taking decisive actions and has been unable to resolve critical issues on the front lines. The Russian armed forces could simultaneously occupy dozens of kilometers and brigade level defensive areas if chaos in leadership continues and nothing changes, Chmut warned. Key takeaways from his interview include freezing the war. This is a terrible scenario for us. Russia will deceive us. Kherson. Their goal is to turn it into a dead city. We're not talking about full occupation of Kherson, but losing the islands on the Dnipro and shifting the front line closer to the right bank allows them to use drones like Mavics and FPVs to strike the city. Zaporizhia. It's not the primary direction anymore, even though a few months ago we anticipated a major offensive here. Half the army was concentrated there. Russia's goal is to approach the city, but it's not simple. Like in Kherson, they are depopulating it under constant fire. Dnipro and Kharkiv. Today, the Russians clearly lack the potential to seize any of these four cities in a blitz. Russia is scaling up its strength while we are either doing nothing or unable to address our weakness. As evident, the situation is catastrophic and there seems to be no way to change it for now. But an even more striking statement came from Kuleba. He said that if Ukraine is not admitted to NATO within 10 years, Ukraine will attack Russia.
As I already mentioned, I anticipate in the prospect of maybe 10 years, or so, I anticipate the emergence of revenge-driven politicians and political forces in Ukraine. And it may sound counterintuitive, but the only way to prevent Ukraine and hold it back from waging a war on Russia will be to have it in NATO, to make it bound by legal obligations of not exposing its allies to the risk of the war with Russia. So yeah, this is where I stand. I mean, bargaining NATO for a ceasefire is a cheap deal. NATO is the only way to.
Friends, make sure to share your opinions in the comments. Now let's move to the front line, starting with the Pokrovsk direction. Here the Russians are actively expanding their controlled territory. They have broken through near the village of Solone and advanced near Novovasilievka yesterday. Intense fighting is ongoing in these areas. The Russians are pushing toward Udachne and the Dnipropetrovsk region. They are also assaulting Novoyelizavetivka, breaking through from Novoolenivka and attacking the villages of Zelene, Dachinske, Lysivka, Myrolюбівка, and Vozdvizhenka. The situation remains extremely difficult. It seems very likely that the road near Udachne and the village of Katline will soon be cut off, allowing the Russians to advance toward the mine. Today, many are sounding the alarm over the mine's importance for Ukraine, but interestingly, earlier statements claimed that all mines in Donetsk and Luhansk were unprofitable. But now the truth is becoming clear. And Ukrainian soldiers described the situation around Pokrovsk as highly tense. The Pokrovsk direction isn't bringing any good news. It remains very tense. The Russians have predictably paused their assault on Pokrovsk because the area beyond it is a densely populated agglomeration, making assault significantly harder. For now, they are prioritizing expanding their positions near Pokrovsk, moving north and advancing in the Novoyelizaveta, Novoolenivka, Ukrainka area, which is mostly open fields. Their combat strategy focuses heavily on using ravines, gullies, and other challenging terrain to their advantage. For those striking distance, the Russians are approximately 7 kilometers from the administrative border of the Dnipropetrovsk region near Novotroitsk. However, in my opinion, the distance doesn't matter much. All land is equally important, and we must defend it at all the same. In the direction of Kurakhove, the Russians have broken to Petropavlivka and are now assaulting the village. Fierce battles are also taking place around Dachne and Kurakhove, where the Russian forces advancing from Konstantinopolsk through the fields. Also, they are storming the villages of Razliv and Constantinople and attempting to push toward Andriivka. The situation here remains catastrophic, with the advantage currently on the side of the Russians. In the direction of Velika Novosilka, the Russians are making advances near Rozdolne, assaulting Novy Komar, Velika Novosilka, and moving closer to Neskuchne. They are also storming the village of Novosilka and advancing from Novodarivka toward Novopil through the fields. Shalin in this area remains relentless, and the advantage also lies with the Russians. Gradually, they continue to push further. Ukrainian forces describe the situation near Velika Novosilka as follows. Our garrison in Storozhove near Velika Novosilka managed to evacuate. The village is lost, but encirclement was avoided. However, the evacuation was extremely difficult and there were losses. Now the Russians will exert pressure simultaneously on Neskuchne and Vremivka, posing a significant threat to Velika Novosilka, where another operational encirclement could occur. As we can see, this situation remains dire. In the Zaporizhia direction, Russian forces are increasing the activity, launching assaults on the villages of Bilohirya, Novodanilivka, and Lobkove. However, they have made no progress so far, and the front line remains unchanged. In the Kherson direction, attacks on the islands and Shalin of the right bank continue, with Russian forces attempting to establish crossings. Despite this, no significant advancements have been made apart from a breakthrough near the Antonivsky Bridge. Over the past day, the front line remains stable. Now let's turn to the Toretsk direction, where Russian forces continue to advance. Reports indicate that for the first time in a long while, they have resumed assaults using armored vehicles. This serves as a response to those analysts claiming that Russia has run out of equipment and can no longer sustain the war. So far, we see the opposite. Their activity is increasing and they are making further advances. They have managed to capture the slag heaps near Toretsk and are now trying to gain control of the town's outskirts, advancing toward Sherbenivka and conducting assaults in the Dachny area. In the Chasiv Yar direction, Russian troops persist in their attacks on the town. They are also advancing near Stupochki and Pretechene and across open fields, attempting to move toward Bila Hora. This situation is very challenging, but the Ukrainian forces have successfully repelled all assaults so far. In the Siversk direction, Russian forces are currently assaulting Bilohorivka but haven't achieved any success. Moreover, the Ukrainian forces managed to push them back from Siversk, slightly improving the situation in the area. In the Liman direction, Russian troops are assaulting Ivanivka and attempting to advance further near the village of Terny. However, there have been no new gains and the front line remains unchanged over the past day. In the Borova direction, Russian forces have successfully captured Zagryzovo and are advancing closer to Nova Krugliakivka. They have also nearly fully occupied Lozova, leaving only a small area in the gray zone. Additionally, they are assaulting Zeleny High and attempting to break through toward Sheikivka and Novosergiyevka through the fields. The situation in this area is deteriorating as Russian troops continue their push toward Borova. Further south, battles are ongoing for Rakivka, and Russian forces are attempting to advance through the fields from the village of Makivka, although without success. In the Kupiansk direction, Russian troops have improved their positions near Dvorichna and are trying to encircle the city. They are also assaulting Kindrashivka and Petropavlivka. However, it seems they are not rushing to capture Kupiansk itself, instead attempting to gain territory in surrounding areas, possibly to facilitate a broader encirclement of the city. For now, we wait further developments. In the Kharkiv direction, activity has decreased for now, with Russian forces unable to make further advances near the village of Kozacha Lopань. As of now, there are no changes in the situation. In Vovchansk, battles continue, but Ukrainian forces are successfully repelling all attacks and the front line remains stable. In the Kursk direction, Ukrainian controlled territory continues to shrink. Russian forces are getting closer to Sudzha, but there have been no new developments over the past day, and the fighting persists. As before, Russian and Korean units are reportedly conducting around 50 assaults daily in this area, maintaining a high level of activity. And that's all from me. So please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all the latest news. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.